Hello and welcome to this third Introduction to R video. In this video, I will be showing you how to create some plots with the data that we've been using, as well as how to save them in a neat and tidy environment called a project. So to begin, we're going to go ahead and set up our project space. So we're going to go to File, and then New Project, and then Existing Directory. And then here we get to choose where we want our saved plots to go. So hit Browse, and then I want mine to go in an existing folder. So choose that and then Open, and then Create Project. And this will clear out your existing R environment. So just make sure that you have everything saved from your old one. So I'm going to go ahead and import my data set that we've been using. Zip code data. Make sure that you have your headings because that'll come in handy when we're making our plots. Import. And then just for ease of use, I'm going to be renaming my data set to zip. And then same data set, just under a shorter name. So from here, we can start making our plots with our data. So I'm going to be showing you first how to make a histogram with a single variable, and then I'll show you how to make scatter plots with two variables, and then we'll move on to pie charts. So for histograms, or really for any plots, the first thing that you want to do is install your packages. So as we've mentioned before, R has a ton of different packages that can be used for different aspects of data analysis. And one of the packages that is specifically used for data visualization is called ggplot2. Now this has it has different functions that are used to create all different kinds of plots. So what we're going to do is install.packages, and then in quotation marks, ggplot2. Press enter, and this will install ggplot2 into your current R environment. And something to keep in mind is that every time you load up R, every time you have a new project, you have to install your packages every single time. So it's not something that sticks in your environment throughout all of your projects. It's something that you have to load up every single time. And since we've installed the packages, but we haven't loaded it in. So from here, we're going to go to Library, and then ggplot2. And this will put it into our current environment. So now that we have that installed and loaded in, we can start using it to create some plots. So the first one that I mentioned is going to be histograms, and we're going to name our first histogram hist. And ggplot has a couple different ways for you to make histograms. There's the quick way, and then there's the more detailed way. And I'll show you the quick way first. So the quick way has a function called qplot, which is short for quick plot. And you're going to do qplot with the parentheses, and then the first thing that you're going to be putting in is the column that you want to work with. So the column that we want to work with for this histogram is poverty rate. So make sure that you're putting it in qplot exactly as it shows in your data. So it's all caps here with an underscore in between the words. Make sure that it's the same every single time. And then we're going to define the data that we're going to be using. So data equals zip in this case. And this is where the shorter name comes in handy when you're making your plots. And then the next thing is geom equals quotation marks histogram. So this is, we are defining what type of plot that we are making with this function. And then to test this, or to adjust the size of the columns in our histogram, the little bars in our histogram, we're going to use bin width 0.1. And 0.1 is usually like the default value that you see. So we're just gonna leave it as is initially, and then we'll play around with it as we go. But bin width 0.1, and then alpha, which is the transparency of the bars in your histogram, we're gonna go for 0.8 here. So just to see what this looks like, press enter and then call hist just to see the plot. Okay, so here we have our quick plot. As you can see, the little bars are super skinny, so you're not really seeing all that the data has to offer with this specific bin width. And then our transparency right here, alpha 0.8. If you want it to pop a little bit more, you increase or decrease the alpha transparency. So from here, if we want to adjust, we want to, let's just put this in again. So poverty rate, data still is zip, and then geom histogram. And then now we're going to play with the bin width a little bit. So it helps just to do this a bunch of times just to see what different bin widths look like. But we can start with something like bin width 2 and then keep the alpha transparency the same at 0.8. So we're going to see this again. And as you can see, you get a clearer picture of the data with a larger bin width in this case. And bin width is seriously just the number of data intervals that are in a specific bar. So if you have a large amount of numbers in a data column, you'll likely want to have a larger bin width so that you can see, you can get a full look at what your data is trying to show you. So here we've made a quick plot histogram, and ggplot is honestly really extensive when it comes to making any plots. So there's usually a quick way and then a more detailed way. So in this case, the more detailed way is actually the ggplot function. So we're going to make another histogram. We're going to name it hist2. And we're going to use the function ggplot to create our next histogram. So this time we have to define which data we're using first. So we're using zip. So as opposed to with qplot, putting in our variable first and then our data, we're doing our data and then our variables. So from here, we're going to use the ggplot function AES, which stands for aesthetics. And then we're going to define what column, what variable we're looking at within our data. So once again, it's going to be poverty rate on the x-axis. And then from here, go outside of the parentheses of ggplot, and then we're going to do plus geom histogram. And this is defining what type of plot we are making. So ggplot has, you can use the ggplot function for a ton of different kinds of plots, but you have to define what plot you want specifically when you're making them. So that's where this function comes. So we're going to press enter on that and then hit call hist2. And this has a preset bin width. You can adjust it if you want, but you don't have to adjust it every single time, because this already kind of shows you what the data looks like. So once again, that's the ggplot function. We're calling our data, and then we are defining the aesthetics. So AES, x equals poverty rate. So basically the x-axis is the poverty rate. And then we're adding that to geom histogram, which defines the type of plot that we're making. So one of the things that we can do with this, especially with the ggplot function itself, is change the colors and the fills. So I'm going to copy and paste hist2 with all of those functions that we just used. And then from here, instead of just doing a blank for geom histogram, we're going to put some stuff in there to customize our data a little bit. So from here, we're going to do bin width equals 2. We already saw that that works up here. And then color equals, and put in quotations the colors that you want to do. So for example, color black, comma, fill equals quotations blue. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, shoot. Okay, so let me try that again. Okay, so let's do color black, fill blue. And then we'll call hist2 again and see what that looks like. So yes, this makes the delineations between the columns a lot more stark. So essentially what we did is we made the outside of the histogram black, and then we made the fill of the histogram blue. So there are a lot of different colors that you can use. I would play around with that if you have the time. And then from here, I'm gonna copy and paste that again with color equals black. Let's try fill equals red this time. And with this, you don't necessarily have to copy and paste like I'm doing. You can just, let's try this. Just go back and then hist2 plus. So this time we're going to be adding some labels and a title to your histogram. So you can just go hist2 with the arrow and then hist2 plus. So essentially you're putting onto our previously made plot a new customization. So in this case, the labels and the title. So hist2 plus x lab. So the label for the x-axis, we're going to make that in quotations, poverty rate. And then plus y lab, so the label on the y-axis, in quotations, count. And then this is a separate function, but gg title, in quotations, poverty rate in NC. So we're adding on to our previously made plot a label for the x-axis, a label for the y-axis, and a title as well. So let's press enter on that and then call hist2 again. There we go. So we have, well, anyway, you can see that there are labels on both the x and y-axis here, and then our title. So if you're happy with your histogram, if you are ready to save it onto your computer for later use, we can use, I can show you how to use our ggsave function, which is built in through ggplot as a way to just easily save plots without having to go through a whole bunch of hoops. So we're going to call ggsave, parentheses, and then in quotes here, we are going to name our file. So we're going to do pv_hist dot, and then your file type. So I prefer PDF. So ggsave, and then in quotations the name dot whatever file type that you want. So like JPEG, PDF, things like that. Click enter, and then that will save your plot onto your computer where you specified when you made your project. So if you look over here, it should show you the folder that you specified when you made your project, And then let's see, right here, that is our plot that we just saved. So that is how you save plots, and that's probably one of the easiest way to save them onto your computer. So now that we have that saved, I'm going to show you how to make a scatter plot with two different variables within our data. So we're going to be looking at our median household income in this column right here, and then comparing that with the median age. So to do that, once again, there are two different ways that you can do this within ggplot: the qplot way, so the quick plot way, and the ggplot way, which is where it gets a little bit more detailed. So to begin, we're going to call our new scatter plot just scatter. And then from there, we're going to call our qplot, our quick plot. And then we're going to define what we're looking at. So median household income, comma, median age. Once again, make sure that it looks exactly how it looks in your data. In this case, all caps with an underscore in between the words. And then we're going to define our data equals zip. So press enter on that. Scatter, call scatter. And there we go. There's our first little scatter plot, our easy scatter plot. And then our more complicated scatter plot, the one where we have a little bit more control, is our ggplot scatter plot. So let's make another one called SC2 with the arrow, and then call our ggplot function. So in this case, we're once again using data called zip, and then we're going to call our aesthetics function again. So here we're going to define which of our variables go on which axis. So which one goes on the x or y axis. So in this case, we want our x-axis to be the median household income, and then we want our y to be median age. And then once again, we're going to go outside of these parentheses plus geom. And this is not geom histogram this time, this is geom point. So we are defining that we want the points to be made, not the histogram. So make that, and then SC2. Same thing, just a little bit cleaner. And then you have more control over the look of your scatter plot with ggplot as well. So we're going to do SC2, arrow SC2 plus, and then we're going to call our geom point and put some stuff in it this time. So we are going to initially just add some labels and a title. So from here we're going to add some labels and titles. So actually that's not geom point here. We'll come back to that. So SC2 plus xlab. So what's going on your x-axis? What label is? So that'll be median household income. Once again, make sure it's in quotations. And then ylab is going to be median age. And then GG title is going to be median age versus median household income. So this will create our title and our axis labels. Shoot, let's see. Okay, and this is a good example of your code failing, because it will fail. Okay, so SC2. Make sure. Okay, so let's try that again. xlab, median household income. ylab, median age, and then GG title. Make sure you're spelling all of your functions correctly. Median age versus median household income. All right, let's try that again. Shoot, hold on. Okay, so I went through my code, and this is, once again, a good example of your code failing, because in this case, something went wrong within this long line of code. So you want to come back and redo it in like little smaller bytes, just so that you can try to find out what's going on. In this case, it just ran by itself. So sometimes it helps if you just like split your code into smaller little bite-sized pieces, so that R doesn't get freaked out, or you can find some mistakes that you've made along the way. So here we've added median household income to the median age, those labels, and then we made a title that compares the two. So if you're happy with this, you can go do GG save again, and then name your file. So we're gonna do name the file, and then once again it's going to be a PDF, .pdf, and then this is going to go back into our folder. So we've named it, and it's right there. So the next one that we want to make. Okay, so the next plot that we're going to make is a pie chart. So pie charts are a little bit more involved, because ggplot doesn't have like a built-in pie chart function. You can use other functions within ggplot to create a pie chart, but it's not like it's not like clean and tidy like the scatter plots and the histogram. So one of the first things that we want to do is we are going to install another package, and this package is called Stringer. So go ahead and install that. Install that package. Hold on. Okay, so we're going to install Stringer. Once again, make sure the first time that you install the packages, there are quotations around whichever package that you are installing, and then give that some time to load. And then once again, you're going to call it into the environment by doing library and then name of the package. And this time you do not need the quotations around the package name. So we're going to call that in. Okay, so Stringer is something that can be used to find the number of instances that a specific word or character is within a data column in your data. So in this case, for your pie chart, we want to be looking at this column right here. So this shows if the area is metropolitan, micropolitan, or rural. And from here, we want to find the instances of each of these different area types, how many times it shows up within this column. So we're going to be using the built-in function from Stringer, str_count. We are going to be using the zip database or data, and then from there, let's find metropolitan first. And once again, make sure it looks exactly as it shows up in the data. So zip metropolitan. All right, so it shows over here 381. It'll show you how many times it shows up in each of the columns, but specifically we want this one right here, which is this column. So metropolitan shows up 381 times. I'm going to write that down somewhere so that I don't forget. And then we're going to use the same for each of these different area types. So zip, comma, in quotations, micropolitan. And once again, it'll be over here. Micropolitan shows up 191 times within that column. So note that down once again. And then finally, we're going to be doing zip, comma, rural. And that is also 191. So from here, we want to take these values along with the names of each of these area types and creating something called a data frame. So this will give us a clean little 2-column data frame that will help us to create our pie chart later on. So in order to create this data frame, we're going to call this data frame df for data frame. And then we're going to call the function data.frame with parentheses. And then the first column name, we're going to call it type for the area type. And then our equal sign. And then we're going to create a vector here full of the area type's names. So metropolitan, micropolitan, and then rural. And once again, make sure that each of these names are within quotations, because otherwise it will not pick it up. And then we're going to go out of 1 parentheses, comma, and then our next column is going to be amount. So the number of times that each of those area types occurs. Equals, we're going to create another vector, this time with just numbers. So we know that metropolitan shows up 381 times. So since that is the first one within our data frame, make sure that the numbers match up. So 381, metropolitan, they're both the first ones. The middle one, 191 for micropolitan, and then 191 again for rural. And if we call df real fast, it'll show you the 2-column data set with the headers, type, and amount for metropolitan, micropolitan, rural, and then the numbers that they occur within that column. So I know that this seems not related to pie charts, but trust me, you're going to need it for this specific plot. So we're going to finally get into creating our pie, and we're going to call it pie. And then this time we're going to call our ggplot function straight away. And then we're going to define our data that we're using. And instead of using the entirety of zip, we're going to be using our data frame. So df, and then call our aesthetics, define our aesthetics. X is going to be nothing. So just do the 2 quotation marks just to define that there's nothing. There's not going to be anything concrete in there. Our y is going to be our amount, so the numbers here. And this time you don't need quotation marks because it is already defined within this data frame. And then our fill is going to be our type. So metropolitan, micropolitan, rural. Okay. And then after that, we are going to call geom_bar. So this is, we are establishing that we are making a bar chart. And essentially what we're going to be doing is creating a bar chart with all of our area types and their amounts, and then we're going to be turning that into a circle. So this has a few steps to it. Called geom_bar, and then stat equals identity width equals 1. So we're just making a big bar chart, essentially. And let's see what that looks like. Right. So you have one bar that is just, it is a stacked bar chart. And we're essentially going to be taking this and turning it into a circle. So from here, pi plus, and this is the function that's going to make it circular, coord_polar. and then y in quotation marks, and then start equals 0. All right, so let's call pi again. So here we've made it into a circle with the different types shown in different colors. So let's clean it up a little bit, because these can get a little bit messy, since it's not like you're kind of like shoving data into a pie chart that isn't kind of supposed to be there. So pi, and then pi plus theme underscore void. Just gonna clean it up with tad. Oh yeah, okay. So ignore that. We're gonna go a little bit more in depth into cleaning it up in just a second. So to clean it up a little bit, let's do pi plus theme underscore classic plus theme. And then here we're going to be in the theme function, we're going to be doing axis dot line equals element underscore blank. And essentially any of the axis lines that were in the stacked bar chart, we're just going to get rid of. And then make sure that there are parentheses around that after that function. And then we're going to do the same with axis.text. And axis.ticks. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and actually, hold on. Let's see what this looks like first. Okay. So it's cleaned it up a little bit. It's gotten rid of the axis line and all of the text within. So this is the perfect time to add in labels and a title to your pi. So from here, we're going to go make sure that we put pi arrow pi plus, let's see. Let's go ahead and add the title real fast. We're going to do area types. And then call pi again, and we have our title. And if we want to get rid of these labels, just because we don't really need them, we have the title here, and then we have the types of different colors. We can go to pi arrow pi plus labs, which is labels, x equals null, y equals null, and then fill equals null. So we're just filling, we are getting rid of this right here, that, and then if there were any labels within the fill. So press enter there, and then call pi again. And here we have just a clean pie chart that is ready for use. So from here, we're going to go to GG save again. Actually, let me show you how to change some of the colors in these pie charts, just to make them pop a little bit. This is where customization gets really fun with these things. So I'm not going to edit this pie because I think it already looks fine, but pi plus here, I'll show you. The internet has, if you just look up color codes in R, it'll give you a full list of different color codes that you can use for any of your plots. So if you want to really customize the colors and really make it pop, this is a good resource to use. r-charts.com/colors. So I'm going to show you, I already have some colors that I've chosen just to make it easy. So we're going to call the function scale underscore fill underscore manual. And then we're going to make a vector of all the different colors that we want to use. So in quotations, here's our first color. The first color code is FF3030, and it'll fill in that color for you after you've input the whole color code. And then our next one is going to be 1874CD. Let's make sure that's correct. Actually, let's choose a different one here. So let's go back to the colors list, and then let's choose a nice green. So let's do hashtag 00CD00. Let's go back to the R environment. 00CD00. Once again, that's filled. And then in quotations again, our last color. So that is FFD 700. So now we have red, green, and yellow, as you can see. And then we're just going to press enter. And you have all of these different start colors against each other to get a better idea of what your pie chart is showing you. So I didn't really change any of those because I'm fine with this pie chart. So from here, we can again go to GD save and then quotation marks at underscore pie dot PDF. All right, and that in files, it should show up at the bottom, and it has. So all of our charts and plots have been saved to a localized place on our computer. It's easier to know where they are now because we have made a project and all of our plots are saved. So just to recap, I showed you how to create a basic histogram, a basic scatter plot, and a basic pie chart, and then I showed you how to save them to a project within your R environment that saves it to a working directory in your computer.